Welcome to Katastrophe. Jumping hot off the heels of my 100th review, I felt it'd be good to take a step back and reminisce over the various figures I've taken a look at over the past year or so. That's why today we'll be taking a look at my top 10 Transformers of 2019. Mind you, this isn't so much a list of the best figures that came out this year, more so just a list of my personal favorite figures that I reviewed over the past year. Pretty much the same thing as last year's video, except I won't be doing a bottom 10 worst list unless you really want me to. So, without further ado, let's begin. Number 10. Siege Optimus Prime. What can I say about this figure that so many others haven't already said? This delightful Voyager-class rendition of our favorite Autobot leader has been described time and time again as a poor man's MP10. While as of yet I can't make the comparison myself, I must admit that this figure is very competent with a great alternate mode, a very satisfying transformation, and almost enough articulation to be confused for a fig art. While the new Earthrise design may make this figure obsolete, it won't stop this figure from eking its way onto the bottom of my list. Number 9. Studio Series Scrap Metal. I've given the 4 Constructicons I've reviewed so far nothing but praise, but Scrap Metal takes the cake out of all of them. Employing the most unique and dynamic transformation of the lot, Scrap Metal pulls off that iconic Bayformers movie magic to get from one amazingly executed mode to another. Sure, the parts-forming plate takes him down a notch, but that's not nearly enough to keep him from being one of my all-time favorites this year. Number 8. Studio Series Drift. Spoiler alert, Helicopter Dropkick won't be appearing on this list. Drift really does improve on that figure in nearly every way, and is a lot more fun to look at and play with to boot. His vehicle mode is also a lot more satisfying to hold in your hand than the admittedly very nice alternate mode Dropkick has, and the amount of playability opened up by the weapons is astounding. Easily one of the strongest entries in the Studio Series line. Number 7. Studio Series Dropkick. Unfortunately for Drift, Dropkick still manages to have my favorite Studio Series figure so far. From the burly blue boxy beast of a disguise to the absolutely insane transformation and the perfect robot mode, Dropkick is a really well-rounded figure. He also has some really nice weapon storage. It's just a shame that Shatter is nowhere near as good as Dropkick is. The two are on completely opposite ends of Studio Series quality, with Dropkick reigning supreme. Number 6. Siege Hound. I distinctly remember the day I bought Hound. I went into town to buy a set of dice and I picked up this plucky little Autobot on a whim. After my first round of Siege figures, namely Skytread, Cog, Sideswipe, and Ultra Magnus, I wasn't really expecting to go further in on that line. I just wasn't really interested. But Hound... my god, was he a surprise. I seriously doubted everyone going on and on about how good he was, but god damn it, they were all right. Hound is a shining gem among his Siege brethren, and is a nearly perfect figure. Number 5. Collectors Club Depth Charge. This may alienate a lot of you in the audience, but this figure was one of my first steps from being just a regular Joe Schmo collector to actually getting a hold of some nice prestige stuff. Even if this figure only cost $25, it's still big for me. And what a nice figure it is too. I've always loved the Terradive mold since I first got a hold of it back in 2010 or so, and Depth Charge's color scheme is overlaid supremely over that base skeleton. I've never seen such a repaint so fitting for a body that was never designed for it. Absolutely wonderful. Maybe someday soon I'll pick up a sideburn. Number 4. Energon Landmine. It's a good thing I'm not doing a list of Transformers I got this year, or else I'd never be able to talk about this beauty again. Energon Landmine was probably one of the first Transformers I ever got as a small child. I'm lucky he's still complete, and he's always been one of the best. I want you to take a good, hard look at this figure and tell me one thing that stops it from being an absolutely fun experience in any mode. Okay, the feet not pegging in very well brings it down a little bit, but it's still not enough to change Landmine's place on my list. Number 3. Siege Brunt. Remember how Thew couldn't stop going on and on about how much fun Siege Cog is? I'm basically the same way with Brunt. infinitely playable with such a good look about him, and 2 extremely solid modes just means this is one figure I have a hard time putting down. I'm astounded constantly by how good this figure is. It's the perfect Decepticon drone. Number 2. Cybertron Sideways. Featuring the most complex transformation of any figure of his size from 2005, Sideways is a testament to genius toy engineering. And that transformation isn't just for show, since much of that parts count helps to double to give Sideways some impressive articulation, rivaling any figure from that time. Couple that with the super fun leg-mounted blades he's got, the characterful Cyberkey gimmick, and the overall haunting aesthetic, and Sideways is just about as good as a Cybertron figure can get. Just about. Number 1. You all saw this coming. Darkshot from Darkmount called it as soon as I mentioned I was going to make a top 10 list again this year. It's Cybertron Optimus Prime. What can I say? This is the perfect Optimus Prime for me. My absolute favorite design of the character, rendered wonderfully in chunky, heavy plastic, and featuring all of the features and bells and whistles you could reasonably expect. I'm in heaven. While most of my childhood memories have been lost to time, I distinctly remember the feeling of sheer joy I had opening up the gift bag containing this behemoth of plastic perfection. He deserved to be my 100th review, and he definitely deserves the top slot on this list. So, there we have it. I hope you enjoyed this look back on my first full year as Kit Katastrophe. It was a fun one for me. Here's to many more. I'll be back shortly with another video, this time going over some changes that I'll be making to my format. Nothing big, but I'm a little excited for it. Transform and roll out.